Good morning, everyone. We're gonna give it just a couple more minutes to let other folks join. So if you'll just bear with us, we'll get started shortly. Okay. Just gonna give it just one more minute to see if we at least can get half the group here before we get started.
Good morning, Ciara. This is Sue Ann.
Good morning.
I'm en route back to my office from another meeting, and so I'll be on camera in about 10 minutes.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Okay. I think we have a majority of the group now, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our advisory board meeting. I know it's a little early for some of us, so thanks for making the time. We've got a pretty packed agenda of updates to share with you all and then things we want to discuss, and also have time to hear updates from you. So I'm going to go ahead and move through the agenda. But also as a reminder, if you all have, I know you all have at least gotten into WebEx, so that's half the battle. But as we're having the meeting, if you have any tech issues, just put that in the chat and somebody from our team will work to help you through that. And if anybody else on the advisory board has reached out to you about having trouble getting, please let them know to reach out to Desiree and she'll help them get in. Um, okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started with some updates about our office, starting with some staffing updates and infrastructure updates. One, starting with staffing, I wanted to make sure, I know some folks are aware who have kind of recently been engaged with us at different events, but wanted to make sure everybody was aware that we've had some staffing changes on our team. Number one, the interns that we introduced you all to at our last meeting in May, Emma and Rose, they did wrap up their time with our team and in late July. And so we had a good 2.5 months with them, and they were able to accomplish a lot. and a lot of projects that we're proud of and some that we'll be sharing with you today. And I know some of you got to meet them throughout the summer at the regional meetings, but we're really appreciative for the time that they spent with our team, and we're going to miss them. Um, and so outside of our interns, we've also had some changes to our like core team. So Robert Epstein, our part-time program coordinator, as well as Paul Callanan, our deputy director, are no longer with our team. And so we are in the process of trying to re-recruit for the program coordinator position, and also just doing a little bit of restructuring to figure out how to move forward with our other vacancy. And so once I have updates on that, we'll be sure to share that with y'all. Somebody's calling my phone, probably somebody trying to get into WebEx. Um, so those are our staffing updates there. And then I also wanted to update you all that Callie, our program coordinator, is also going to be leaving our team at the end of September. And so we have just about 1 month left with her, and we're working on transitioning her projects and some of the things that she led, such as our data work group. And so we'll keep y'all posted about updates um, about refilling that role. And yeah, hopefully you all have an opportunity to connect with Callie before she leaves, and wish her well in her next steps. Um, and so then those are all of our staffing updates. And then on the infrastructure side, I did want to update you all about our grant, because I know earlier this year we gave updates about where things stood with our infrastructure and our grant, and us coming up on the last year of that grant. And so we have been notified that we will be getting an extension, a 1 year no cost extension for our grant. And so we'll have up until September of 2027 now to finish out the activities that we were doing under that grant. And so that's really great news for us. That means we're able to keep our staff for now throughout this year, and also to continue to move forward a lot of the projects that we've started. And so we're really happy about that. And we're also working to continue to look for other resources to support the office beyond this grant once it comes to an end in 2027. But in place within our department. And I'm going to pass it to our Chief Deputy Secretary, Caroline Vallon, to share some updates about our leadership transition.
Good morning, everybody. I hope you are doing well and appreciate you joining Ciara and her team. As I heard Ciara kind of update you guys on the staffing changes, I did want to add a little bit of context on that, I don't want there to be a perception that there was this kind of mass exodus. That was not the case. And there were some instances where I think it was an agreement on both sides that it wasn't the right fit. But then I think there were other people who are relocating. And so there were a lot of individual circumstances that there was a confluence of this happening at once. And I'm optimistic about it because when we developed the structure of the Office of Violence Prevention a few years ago, it was setting up a brand new section within the Department of Public Safety, and kind of doing it blind. And our office is a little bit different than other statewide offices. So, I just wanted to say this really does afford us some opportunities to maybe tweak some positions and focus areas that maybe we didn't have the foresight to be able to identify when the office was stood up. So I am excited that this is an opportunity, and hope that you guys who are subject matter experts in the field, if you know of anybody that might be interested in opportunities, you'll be on the lookout for any postings from Ciara. There's nobody better to make recommendations than this team right here. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you for indulging me. And then also, many of you may have heard, but I don't expect all of you to know that we have had unfortunately, a transition at the secretary level at the Department of Public Safety. Josh Stein, our governor, had appointed, nominated Jeff Smythe to serve in that role. And that was done in January. And the General Assembly declined to have a hearing on his name to be confirmed. And so the Senate has a special committee, and then the Senate as a whole has to confirm the secretary. And it's not that they had a hearing and decided not to confirm him. They just decided not to have a hearing. And then when the budget came out, they made a tweak to the law that said they didn't have to confirm somebody. And if somebody wasn't confirmed by the time a body adjourned, then they could no longer be considered for that position. And so with that in mind, the governor withdrew his nomination of Secretary Smythe and currently is making decisions about the direction for the next secretary. And I don't have any updates on that, but I am excited to say that the governor has chosen San Hoekstra to be our interim secretary. Those of you that maybe have been around a while in state government know San has been a touchstone for us in DPS for a long time, a personal mentor to me, but she has been with DPS when it was crime control and public safety. She's been with DPS when it was kind of large DPS and included corrections. She has served as general counsel. She has served in my current role as chief deputy. She was the legislative liaison years and years ago. So she has just been around for a long time and knows a lot. And I think our governor was wise to ask her to step up and continue to lead us in this period. And then also, as a side note, not really as central, the General Assembly has also directed the DPS employees that currently work in the Archdale building. Ciara is currently in the Archdale building. I'm currently in the Archdale building. Callie is, all of the OVP staff work from Archdale. The General Assembly is moving us to another building. That will most likely take place in April of next year. It's not immediate. But there's staffing transition, and then there's some physical transition going on, just so y'all are aware and have for background. If anybody's got questions about the transition in leadership, I'm glad to answer to the best of my abilities. Did I forget anything, Ciara?
No, I think you covered everything. Thank you,
All right.
Caroline.
You're very welcome. Appreciate it.
Good morning, everybody. This is Kevin. I did have one question. I know Callie's still with us, but Sarah, did you say whether or not that position is filled?
So that position is not filled yet, but we did begin recruitment. So we emailed out to you all a couple of months ago a position description to share, and we collected applications. So we're currently conducting interviews for that role, but we haven't released any like position descriptions for any other roles yet. Thanks, Kevin. Any other questions about our staffing updates, the DPS updates? No.
Ciara, real quick, there is a question in the chat that asked you if these positions were virtual, in-person, or hybrid.
Thank you. So all of our positions right now on our team are hybrid, as long as that option continues through our department and through our state government. So we work 3 days a week in office, 2 days remote. Okay. Any other questions? No. Okay. Well, if other questions come up, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll answer them or I'll work to get them answered if they're related to our DPS transitions. Like Caroline said, we've got a lot of transition going on, but it's definitely just kind of spurring good opportunities for us to kind of restructure and kind of better hone in on our resources, particularly in this last year of our grant. And also, with that being said, also just want to recognize and thank you all for the support that you do give our office and the help that you give to not make these transitions, really take too much of a toll on us, because we have the support and collaboration from you all. So next up, want to just share lots of different updates about what we've had going on since our May meeting. And so starting with our webinar series. So since our May meeting, we've had one webinar in July. And for those who weren't able to attend that one, this was a webinar led by Dr. Ivan Benitez, who works for the Louisville Office of Violence Prevention in Kentucky. And he discussed how communities can use publicly available data sources to monitor trends, make informed decisions, and just strengthen their violence prevention efforts. And as a part of his presentation, he kind of highlighted a public dashboard that he's created and that they have available there out of the Louisville OVP. And so it was a really great webinar, and I think really informative for a lot of folks. And that webinar, like all of our webinars, was recorded. And so for those who weren't able to attend, or even those who attended but want to look back on something, you can find that on our DPS YouTube page. And we'll also work on getting a link in the chat as well. And then also, while we have been apart from each other, we had our Community Violence Prevention Regional Meeting Series throughout the summer. So we're going to talk in a lot more detail about the series a little later in the meeting to kind of give some updates on like what the turnout looked like and what we covered and kind of what the feedback was from the different meetings. But I do want to take a moment to recognize and thank all of the organizations that partnered with us, and particularly throughout this group, not only the folks who participated in the planning committees, but also the organizations who contributed funding to help us make sure that we could provide food during these events and keep it free for those who attended. So want to shout out the Greensboro Department of Community Safety, the Durham County Department of Community Intervention and Support Services, the Mecklenburg Office of Violence Prevention, and the City of Charlotte and the Youth Opportunities Office, as well as the Fayetteville Office of Community Safety. So thank y'all so much. And we're looking forward later to share with you all some of the results from the evaluation from those events. But all in all, we had good turnouts, and I think really great kind of learning and collaboration throughout the events. Any immediate questions about that? I know we'll dig more into it later, but I want to pause for a second. Okay, hearing none, and I think seeing none, I'll keep going. So another update, since our May meeting, we've had 2 of our data work group meetings. I know that there are some folks from the advisory board that are involved in the data work group, but we'll also share later a bit more about the data work group to make sure everybody's kind of aware of what this is and how to get involved if you're interested. But we had 2 data work group meetings, one in May and then one in July. And in our May meeting, we spent a good majority of the time hearing a presentation from the CJAC team about their Firearm Violence Across North Carolina report that they released back in the spring, and just kind of talking through the implications of some of the data and trends that were shared in that report. And then in our July meeting, we used that time to kind of take a step back and reflect with the group, because at this point we're about a year into convening this work group, and so we wanted to give an opportunity for folks to kind of share what they have been gaining from this group and kind of appreciating out of this space, but then also things that they're hoping, other things they're hoping to get that we may not have touched on yet in the data work group, to make sure that we continue to keep this work group relevant for those who are attending. And so like I said, we'll share a little bit more about the data work group later and how to get involved if you're interested. So those were our events that have happened since we met in May, but then we also have a few different upcoming events. And I think the biggest one on our minds being the conference. And so hopefully you all have seen my emails about registration opening for the conference. So the conference will be held November 17th and 18th here in Raleigh at a different location than we've had it at the past 2 years. It'll be at the Marriott across from Crabtree Mall in Raleigh. And registration is open now and will be open through September. And the registration cost is the same as last year, $80 per person. And so we're dropping a link in the chat to the webpage where you can find all the details about it, how to register, our room block, etc. And we've sent an email out to all of you about how to register specifically for yourselves, because as advisory board members, your registration will be waived for the conference. And so we've sent emails with instructions on how to do that registration without like having to submit a payment. And so if you haven't seen that email, or if you have had trouble registering, please reach out to me or somebody on our team and we'll work to get you registered. And so we also have a call for exhibitors open right now for the conference. And we have a few more spaces. I think we have about 10 exhibitors right now. So we have space for about 5 or so more. And so if any of you all are interested in exhibiting, or know organizations that may be, or organizations that you want to be there as an exhibitor, please share that information with them. We've sent emails about it, but also you can find that information on the webpage that we put in the chat as well. And also just want to do a shout out to our conference planning committee, who has been working with us over the past several months to think through and plan out details for the event. We really appreciate you all taking the time to do that. And yeah, we're in our final stretch of planning and just a few months out, but very excited for our third conference. So any questions about the conference?
Just a quick question. When will the agenda be posted, or is that just at the event?
So if it's not already on the website that we shared in the link, it will be added soon, a kind of like overview agenda. So right now we have a high level agenda that kind of just shows the types of content that will be covered at the conference and the timing. But as far as the agenda with like the full details, that will be shared with folks like closer to the event. We're still ironing out some of the details, so we don't have a final agenda to share yet, but we anticipate we'll have that ready in the next few weeks. And then everybody who's registered will get an email giving them like additional details about how to prepare for the event and access to the app, and the agenda will be on there. And then in addition to that, of course, it will also be available at the event. But we hope to have the full agenda available for attendees at least 3 or so weeks ahead of the event.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And sorry that I haven't revisited the website since I originally registered. So I'll definitely check that out and share that with our coalition. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Any other questions about the conference? Okay. I saw some questions in the chat. Let me see, or some chats that came through. Ebony, yes, we will resend that email about registration. Okay. All right. So then moving forward, if there are no questions, also coming up in September, we'll be having another data work group meeting. And so there's a QR code on the screen for the interest form to be a part of the data work group for those who might be interested. But again, we're going to talk more about it in a little bit to give you all a better idea of, for those who aren't involved in it, what to kind of expect out of that work group. So then last kind of area of updates that we have are about projects that we've been working on. Starting with the core competencies, hopefully you all saw back in July that we released the final list of core competencies for our North Carolina community violence prevention workforce. And so that QR code on the screen will take you to the competencies. We also sent you all an email with those competencies as well right before the release. But we were really excited to finally release that. As you all may recall, this was a project that we started based on one of the objectives in our strategic plan that specified a need for releasing core competencies. And so we've been working over the past several months with you all and then other partners as well across the state to put together these competencies, get feedback, refine them. And so we feel really great about the final list that we ended up with, and we hope you all also feel the same. And we're gonna talk more about next steps that we want to do to kind of build on that list and make sure that it's able to be utilized and that folks across our field are actually able to work towards enhancing their skill sets in those competency areas. But any questions about the core competencies? Did everybody see them? Yes, no. I can't see anybody's faces, so y'all can unmute and let me know. Or put in the
Yes.
chat.
Yes, we saw 'em.
Yes.
Okay, good. Any thoughts about all right. So then next update that we have, so at our last few meetings, we also have been talking to you all about some other projects, like our implementation plan, which we shared at the February meeting. That was kind of the complement to our strategic plan that outlined how we were going about like implementing that plan, and then also where we were at in progress on that. And then we also shared some one-pagers at our last meeting and in between there to get some feedback and such. But we wanted to make you all aware that for several of those projects, we're kind of in a holding place right now as far as moving forward on next steps or releasing those due to some new requirements for not just our department, but for I know all of the departments across our state, and I believe a lot of the state and local governments across the country all are kind of having to navigate new federal requirements about accessibility for websites. And it's had a big impact on resources that are in PDF form primarily. And so, which a lot of those are or we're planning to be. And so we're working to just kind of navigate that and figure out how to move forward in the best way to still make those resources accessible to our ecosystem, while also trying to make sure that they meet the accessibility requirements for those who do have disabilities that impair their ability to navigate websites. And so we just want to let you all know that these haven't been forgotten about and we're still working on them, but we're just trying to figure out how to move forward with releasing them. And one thing in particular that this is impacting and that we wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about with you all is our county violence profiles. And so if you recall, last year we released these county violence profiles for all 100 counties, and our previous epidemiologist Kenla worked to create them in collaboration with the Injury and Violence Prevention Branch and the Criminal Justice Analysis Center here at the state level, and then also in collaboration with you all. And we got a couple rounds of feedback on the content and structure of these profiles to make sure that this was going to be a resource that was actually going to be, usable for those who are doing work at the local level and who are in need of data to kind of inform planning and advocacy for their efforts. And so these came out last May. And since then, we've had a lot of great feedback and interaction with the profiles. We've seen them in news reports on other people's websites. We've seen people bring them into meetings and etc. So they've definitely seemed to be a helpful resource for our ecosystem. And so right now, due to the accessibility challenges that we're trying to navigate, we haven't been able to move forward with creating the next round of profiles with the most current data, which would be the 2025 data, because we're still trying to figure out what's going to be the best way for us to release them that meets those requirements, but also keeps the essence of the original purpose and focus for the county profiles. And so to kind of help us in our brainstorming and planning of how to move forward on that, we wanted to take a little bit of time to get some feedback from you all to just get some understanding of maybe how you've been able to use them, what about the profiles has been kind of valuable to you, what, if anything, would you not want to change about the profiles in a future iteration. So we've got a QR code on the screen for you all to scan to be able to put some feedback in, but then also feel free to unmute as well. But we do want to capture it on that form as well, so that we can also reflect back on in case there are things that we're not able to talk through right now. So if you could just take a moment to scan the QR code, and it'll bring you to a screen where there'll be a question or a few questions to answer.
Ebony, I see your chat and the passcode is on the screen. That should be the right passcode. And then I need to unlock the survey. So I will quickly switch to another screen, but the QR code is also available on the screen. I believe the survey actually should be unlocked.
So we'll give y'all a couple minutes to just process that ask and also to respond to the questions. And while we're getting responses in for this question, I know I see a couple folks saying they have used them and then some folks saying they haven't or they weren't aware of them. So for the folks who have used them, can you give some context on like how you have used them?
We've shared it with our community partners previously and used the data in presentations that we've shared, but we've really wanted to be able to use it as we're talking with people in community, because we feel like the verbiage is such a way that it's really easy to be understood. So a lot of people felt like it was easier for them, and it meant that we didn't have to make one here ourselves because you already had it.
Yeah, awesome. That's really great to know. And that's also helpful context to know that you have like brought it out with you in community as you're engaging with folks. So it sounds like being able to have it in a format that you can print out has been like helpful.
So
Okay.
we've used it with sharing with community partners, also for grant applications.
Okay, awesome. That's great.
So
Thank you
it's
so much.
work.
Perfect. Okay. No, Kevin, actually, I see your comment in the chat. It's not just for Durham. That was just the example that we pulled up on the screen. But we have it for all 100 counties. So we have one for Cumberland County, and we can share that with you. We'll have Neil send that to you in the chat. Okay. So then, this next question for those who have used it, or those who are just discovering it now as you're looking at it, let us know. We want to know kind of like what elements of the profile you found most valuable. So, like some of the information on trends or the way that it's visualized, or I heard from Ebony, even the way like the wording and kind of breaking it down into simpler like explanation seems to be helpful. So anyways, just kind of think through the different elements of the profiles and let us know if there's anything in particular that sticks out as valuable to you, because we definitely want to make sure we keep those things in mind while we're thinking about shifting formatting.
The only thought that I had, and I don't know if there is this copy available, but we don't have it in Spanish, and we want to make sure we're able to share it with our community members who primarily speak Spanish.
Okay. Yeah, that's thank you for bringing that up. That's definitely something that we can look into. Yeah. Okay. We'll give a couple more or a few more seconds for some other folks to finish what they're typing. But while we wait, anybody else have any other thoughts they want to share or anything they want to expand on from what you put on the form? Okay. Well then let's move to the last question.
Ciara, quick
Oh yeah.
question. Well, comment. And this is, I guess, probably more of a design thing. At the top of the profiles, I guess the outlines are the shapes of the counties.
Mm-hmm.
It took me looking at a couple of different ones because they're all black. So I was like, what is this black shape at the top?
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, well, if we are doing anything to adjust it, maybe changing those so that they're not, just so people know what it is that they're looking at.
Yeah.
That could just be me, but that was one of the things I thought, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. Yeah. So
No, that's actually a fair point. And I'm laughing because when we were first making them and Kenla was drafting some, I also got confused in the beginning about them. And I thought like I was like, something is not showing. It's like being covered up by a black like blur. But then I caught on as well. But that's a fair point. And so maybe that is something that we can look into and see if we can change in some way to just make it easier to recognize that that is a county shape and not like an accident. Okay. Well, thank you for that, Letitia. And then our last question for you all is just if there are things that come to mind, ways that the profiles could be more useful for your work. Um, you know, this would be helpful for us to just take in mind while we do have the opportunity to make changes to it. And we may not be able to make all the changes that you may want, but it's helpful to know, what the desires are so we can figure out what we can work into it. Glad a couple people like them the way they are. I see somebody put something about ages. So I just wanted to, I don't know who put that, but if you want to expand, because I know the profiles do have some information about age ranges for our violent death rates, but that's the only section that includes age ranges. So is it that it would be helpful to have age ranges for some of the other sections as well, or something
Yeah,
else?
so I was thinking about that because, like I see, for example, so let me go back. Age range, yes, but we recently were looking at data to see like how many youth under a certain age over the last 5 years um, have been impacted. And so we had to look at that across the most populous counties. And I
Mhm.
remember trying to find the data. I think I was on like NC Detect and on the other website and trying to put that together to say this is how our county compares with youth deaths in
Mhm.
firearms to other counties. And so I was just wondering, like, we have it broken down by age range in that one section, but I'm wondering if there's a way that we could like specifically call out like this many youth, like if we even had a statement that said this many youth in this county across this many years, right? So that people
Mhm.
can, because that's something that people are using as they're making policy and sharing it with their leaders.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a really great suggestion. So we can definitely look into that. And if not, if it's not something we can fit on this, we can also explore a different resource that has that information. And I'm glad that you brought that up because that also reminds me to just say to you all that if you have other like data needs as like beyond what the information that's on the profile, if there are other things that you're pondering or trying to get information about, feel free to reach out to us about that. We do have our epidemiologist, Neil, who does collaborate with the Injury and Violence Prevention Branch and CJAC. So he's kind of like our resource to kind of skim through their data to find the information that we're looking for. And by we, I mean collectively, not just our team, but like us as a advisory board, us as an ecosystem. And so that's one of the purposes of having him on our team is to help us do that. And a lot of times he's able to access and pull some of that data for you all. And then what he's not, he's able to bring to those teams to work with them to see what we can get. And so please don't hesitate to reach out to us if other things like that come up. Okay.
I just want
Um,
I just want to read through my comments because sometimes my phone is too smart and it makes it doesn't give me a chance to edit. But what I was trying to say is we work strategically to engage youth and young adult populations, and we want to introduce them to how certain societies look on paper to people outside of their normal circumstances. And we use that as a way for them to feel offended when they see these numbers. So this is a very valuable tool in that regard. And also, we're having such small staff, we don't have to do the work, like was already shared. So I'm interested to see the one from Cumberland County.
okay, awesome. Well, I'm glad that this seems like it'll be a useful resource for that. And yeah, hopefully to get your youth wanting to get more engaged in this work. Okay. Well, any other final thoughts that anybody wants to expand on before we move forward?
Hey, this is Justin. Good morning, y'all.
Morning.
I dropped the one I dropped the comment that just came in. Does it have to be one page? I think when I think of one pages, sometimes I think of not just the front, but I think of front and back. And maybe this is colored by some of the back to school stuff that I'm seeing from friends that are teachers, but literacy rates are low and not everyone is as media literate to be able to see this and know what's going on. And so I think there could be some context for what this is and means and how people can read it and know. And that could be something that could be standardized across all of the, instead of having to pull them in, individually for each county. But I think there are some definitions that folks need to see and read to understand. But then also, I think that there are some general kind of state level recommendations that it doesn't have to be super in depth, but I think seeing what recommendations, because I think folks are, especially in the communities that they live and work in, when they're reading something, they're like, okay, I see this, but how can I either participate or know and understand how I can get involved and engaged? And so the state level recommendations could be one thing, but then also, recognizing or connecting the organizations that work inside the counties. And I know that is probably a big issue because everyone's going to want to get on the list. But I think it could be something where working with county level representation on kind of the recognized list of their partners. So then that also then kind of puts the onus on the county to make sure that they are keeping their list up to date on who they're partnering with, as opposed to this office tracking everyone down that donated a pack of pencils and now wants to be on the list. And so just a couple of things. I think there could be some expansion on just contextualizing this so that folks can see this and read it and not have to be an epidemiologist to know what's going on.
Yeah,
But
no,
this is great. This is great.
thank you. But also thank you for those ideas, because I think those, are great ideas and great points. So that's definitely something we can kind of ponder on and think about if there are ways for us to incorporate into the formatting some more like contextual like information to help folks figure out what this data can or should mean to them. And also for context, when we were first creating them, we did do a lot of back and forth about if it will actually be one page or like one page, like front and back. And we had a few different conversations as well with the advisory board last year about that. And we ended up trying to go with one actual page just because thinking about some of those like literacy trends, we also had a lot of conversation about how people also just don't like to read anymore. And so like something beyond one page might just lose the attention span for some folks. So that was one reason why we prioritized that this format of just one actual page. But I really like your idea. And so we can think more about that. And also, even if it can't fit, if some of that contextual information can't fit right on this one pager, maybe there's a like complimentary resource that we can create for the profiles that adds to that for the people that want or need it. So thank you for sharing those ideas. Okay. Well, thank you all so much for sharing this feedback. This is really helpful. We're gonna take all this back and ponder on it and start to think through some next steps for making updates to the county profiles that incorporate the feedback that y'all shared with us, but also the new requirements that we have to kind of navigate for the accessibility requirements. So thank you again. And now we're going to move forward to pause on me talking a lot and give y'all an opportunity to talk and share. We sent an email with a few questions to kind of get y'all thinking about things you might want to share during this time. But right now, we want to open it up for updates from the board members. So if you have any upcoming events that you'd like to share about, or if there are challenges or maybe concerning trends that you're seeing in your community that you just want to have some thought partnership with this group to talk through at this time, or if you've had some, some good things happening, some successes, some wins in your community that you want to share, this is the time for that. So we're just going to open it up. You can share anything within the bounds of those 3 questions or beyond. This is really just a time for you all to kind of network and have thought partnership with each other. So I'm going to pause talking now and let y'all feel free to just unmute if anybody wants to share.
Well, I'll share one good thing. Well, many good things. Foresight Wins. We are in Winston-Salem, and we are proud to say we have not had any homicides in our beat this year. So
wow.
Our last homicide in our beat 222, our police beat, was December the 29th. Now, we didn't say there were no shootings, but there was no homicides, violent crime. So that is a shout out to the testament of our teams and our partners throughout the city and the county, and our Foresight Wins teams there. And then also we have finally completed our last with GCC, with the funding we had. I don't know if anyone else has been experiencing the funding. You have to meet with the federal approvers and you talk with them, and then you meet with GCC. So finally, hopefully we're near the end where we can receive that award letter, which will allow us to continue services into 20. They're currently funded right now. I have funds until this for the FY27, but we're definitely looking into 2028. Just wanted to share that goodness.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that, Sharita. Anybody have questions for Sharita or other updates you want to share?
I will share that although some things went away at the end of the fiscal year in June, some things are beginning. So we have been working on our HFIB program or pilot project for a few years, and we've made some progress. We have some funding, and we have made some progress with our local hospital, Cape Fear Valley Medical Center. And thanks to Yuzuri up at Duke, we will be paying a visit to her in a couple of weeks to give them a day in the life snapshot of what's happening up there to help us get some things started on the ground here in Fayetteville. So one of our team members just came back from a training. And so that's something that we can look forward to, and it keeps us supported in some of our community violence prevention efforts here in Fayetteville. So that's good that we found a way to continue to keep this ball rolling.
Good morning.
Yeah, sorry, I was just gonna say that's awesome. Okay, Nicole, so sorry.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. This is Nicole from Edenton. I wanted to share that the town of Edenton has proclaimed Gun Violence Awareness Month as a national thing in the month of June. Also, we are having a community conversation in October around the elected officials and candidates. We're going to allow the community to ask them questions and see what they're going to do around community violence and safety.
That's great, Nicole. I'm really glad to hear that.
Doing
Okay.
a lot of work in the area.
Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
You can go ahead, Azuri.
Oh, okay. So, thank you. So in the world of Egypt, thank you, Kevin, for shouting us out. We oh Lord, I just went blank. So y'all don't get old. So in the world of Asia, we were accepted as a full member program for the Javi. So that's starting in January 2027. What that means, I will continue to find out, but we're recognized as a full member program. So meaning that they will also allow us to host organizations, things like that, as a part of the Javi membership and all of that. Well, we were already hosting before that, but on the national scene that can happen. Secondly, in the world of Egypt, in the world of CVI, we also have other training opportunities. There is someone who formerly worked for the Javi, now started their own consulting business, and they can help build HFIPs and also do training and other technical assistance. So that's great for North Carolina, because then you'll have somebody right here instead of just nationally, but right here in North Carolina that can travel around and support. And that's Shara Liverpool White. So that's a great opportunity. The other thing is, and Justin can attest to this, we did have a summit. Durham had a summit, violence reduction strategy summit, where a few of us got together to make recommendations on a violence reduction strategy from Durham County. And that information was released recently. So they had that on the website, Durham Saves Lives Summit. That's what it was called. And so we're looking forward to seeing what's happening with that, and in what ways that we can support to ensure that this strategy moves forward and does what it says it's going to do. Other than that, thank you.
Thank you for sharing all of those updates, Azuri. Y'all have a lot of great things going on, it sounds like. And I'm glad that you all are going to be kind of elevated to hosting and being engaged on the national level with the Javi, because I know that y'all have definitely been a leader in our state with the HRIPs and have helped a lot of the programs that exist right now across our state and the emerging ones. So it's great to see that other folks across the country will be able to benefit from that. And also, I was going to ask, could you, if you have any information that you could share with folks, either in the chat or if you send it after, but about Shira and how they kind of access her organization or get in contact with her if anybody is interested in utilizing her as a resource.
Sure, I could do that.
Thank you. And thanks, Justin, for putting the link in the chat for Durham's recommendations. That's also exciting to hear. I know that's been a kind of involved process to get to this point. So looking forward to reading through that. Okay, I see that Ebony has her hand up, so we're gonna go there first, and then I saw a question in the chat following up with Nicole, so we'll go there after.
Hi, everybody. Ebony Rao from Mecklenburg County Public Health Office of Violence Prevention. One really cool thing that we did, we launched a new website for community to help others recognize community violence and understand it more, to learn more about gun safety, mental health, and also to get access to free gun lock boxes, to get access to youth related events and things that were occurring over the summer. And we were so excited that we launched this June 1st. And part of that work allowed us to partner with community organizations to be able to provide them with gun lock boxes that they would then distribute. So people were able to go to the website and reserve a gun lock box. And there was a huge media campaign that we did in conjunction with this. But between June 1st and about 2 weeks ago, we were able to give out more than 1,250 gun lock boxes across Mecklenburg County. So we actually totally ran out. We were so excited. And the website is fantastic. Please feel free to look at it. And if you do have feedback, we'd love to get that from you. But we're just about to launch some additional information. One of the pages will be specifically for suicide prevention. So although we have mental health information on there, we're going to be working specifically during September, Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month, on a suicide prevention page. So we're super excited about that.
That is very exciting. Thanks for sharing that. And I see you put the link in the chat. And for those looking for it, it's a couple links up or a few links up. But that is, yeah, really exciting. Okay, so there's a question in the chat from Letitia for you, Nicole, about if there are ways that us as an advisory board can be supporting you in Edenton. And I'm assuming particularly with the upcoming like elected officials engagement that y'all are doing, but also I guess generally if there are ways that we can be supporting.
Yeah, you know, we're actually now, Ciara, covering 5 counties. We're working in Perquimans, Pasquotank, Bertie, Washington.
Oh wow,
And
okay.
so, yeah, we're doing a lot of good survivors work. We have a huge group of mothers, especially who have lost their children to violence. We meet with them monthly and just, you know, talk. We are very connected. It's a wonderful group. Ways to support, especially this event, any elected officials that or candidates in North Carolina that will be representing us. Send them our way. If you can email me, I'll put my email in the chat. Email their email address or how we can connect with them. That would be the best way, I think, right now for that event. I'm also going to put our website in the chat so y'all can check us out and see what we're doing. I don't know if you all know, I started this organization because I lost my son in 2019 in Durham County. And I just noticed so many things that weren't happening in the rural East that were happening in Durham. Wonderful work in Durham. And so I thought it would be robbery if I didn't try to bring some of that stuff to the families here who are going through the same things, right? So we're doing some good work, and thank you all for wanting to support.
Thank you, Nicole. And that's really great to hear that y'all have expanded the counties that you're able to work with. And also, I don't know if you and Becky have been in like connection and conversation, but if not, maybe it might be good for y'all to follow up with each other after this, because I know that Carolinians Against Gun Violence has also been doing some work with survivors. And so you all can potentially be a resource for each other, or maybe even there's opportunity for collaboration.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ciara. I was planning on emailing you after this.
I'm putting my email address in.
Perfect. Yeah, we have this is Becky with North Carolinians Against Gun Violence. We do have a survivors advocacy circle that works with survivors throughout the state to really bring them together in a trauma-informed meetings to share stories, to learn advocacy skills, to connect with each other and share information with each other. And we also share information and skills building and yeah, just love to connect with anyone who is working with survivors. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Becky. Are there any other updates that anybody has, or any follow-up questions or thoughts from things that have been shared?
I'll share on behalf of the Office of Community Safety for the City of Fayetteville. One, we've been fully staffed for a year. So we're in the process of evaluating what has happened in this 1 year that we've been in. We have some good numbers from police department at the most recent council quarterly review. I'm not going to say we have credit in that because we've only been in a year. We're building up, but it is good to see that we saw a 52% reduction in homicides over the past year. We have seen some increases specifically on DV related charges. So that is aligning with the expansion that we're looking to have regarding victim advocacy, holistic approach to that in the city of Fayetteville. Currently, the police department has one victim advocate and we have one known organization. So how do we expand that work, recognizing there's a significant gap here in the city of Fayetteville? We are also on good track with our alternative response model, which for everyone's awareness is the reason why we really have the Office of Community Safety. We have a program manager. We are in the process of hiring 4 crisis response specialists. We are in the process of currently renovating our office space as things are being torn down now, and we'll hopefully be in our new facility devoted to OCS fully by the end of this calendar year. And we have partnered with an outside agency to provide TA on the development of that response model pro bono. So we're grateful for that as we move forward with that model. So we're very excited about that. Some of the challenges we do have in Fayetteville that we'll love to hear people's insights on. And I do want to shout out Director McNeil on this, Letitia McNeil, because Greensboro did have a great article today. I know you played an incredible role in that, Letitia, so I do want to honor you in that space. But with the unhoused community here in the city of Fayetteville being a pillar of ours, we are looking to be a little bit more innovative when it comes to how do we not just respond, but what are some actual resources outside the typical what people expect. We have seen a significant need for additional resources, and I know OCS, we aren't the ones who are going to be the ones to build everything, etc. But I'm curious about what other cities are doing outside of just responding, so that when we are looking to fund initiatives or looking for grant opportunities, be a little bit more intentional in that. I know shelter plays a role, et cetera, et cetera. But that's just something that's on top of my mind. But I would say after 1 year, we're in a great space. Thank you, Director Scott, for coming to City of Fayetteville for your Eastern Regional meeting. Apologies I could not make it, but I heard great things about it. But I think we're in a great time and we have a lot of momentum. And we're also seeing a little bit more buy-in from elected officials, which I'm excited about, as the combination of public safety is now including OCS, and that's coming in public conversations and announcements from higher ups or elected officials. So the mindset of being a collaborative approach to public safety, recognizing community involvement, is now a lead in that. Just shows great efforts by the community here in Fayetteville and the partnerships that we have. As we still try to develop capacity building, as we still try to identify how to address some of the gaps. In 1 year, I think we've exceeded what people may have expected, and that's only because we work with great people here in the city of Fayetteville. So, but again, we'd love to hear a little bit more, maybe now or another time individually, about the unhoused response, because that is a gap that we're looking to be a little bit more innovative. I know the Greensboro article did inspire me on how we think differently and programs that, sorry, I can go on a tangent, but one thing I'll say is I was at a conference recently and it was regarding DV work, and the presenter asked an example. Someone asked, like, hey, we got money and we couldn't do this for this reason, that reason, and that presenter really charge them with, is that true? Is the information that was given to you true, or is there just a fear in that? And I think that has opened my mind to the barriers that I have heard take it on my initiative to move forward with actually looking up, is that a true barrier according to whatever funding NOFO that was, or is there something that we need to address because there's a fear to move forward with that? And if that's the fear, then how do we address that so we can tear down these internal barriers? So those are my updates. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Those are lots of updates and lots of good thoughts. So thanks for sharing. And obviously, y'all have done a lot in a year. So I'm glad that y'all are taking a step back to kind of reflect on that and really understand the impact that the office has been having in the city of Fayetteville. And I'm also glad that y'all are working towards getting your own space as you grow as a team and can kind of settle in and continue to expand your work. And also, if you don't mind, I feel like you were leaving us a little bit on a cliffhanger. I know I don't know, and probably a lot of people on the call don't know about this article that you're talking about. So if you could share it with us, maybe in the chat, but would love to see it. And yeah, love that Greensboro is being highlighted in the work that Letitia led there. And so if anybody has thoughts for John's question around kind of like innovative approaches to like addressing the challenges in your cities around the unhoused community and how to kind of support them, then please feel free to unmute or put it in the chat, or everybody should have everybody's contact information, but we'll make sure after this meeting that it's also shared again so that folks can connect offline as well. Thanks for putting that in the chat. Okay. Any thoughts for John or any final updates that anybody wants to share? Okay. Well, hearing none, we're gonna wrap up this member updates time. We went a little over time, but for all the best reasons. And we really appreciate you all sharing all of those updates. That's really great to hear and really exciting. I feel like we heard I feel like maybe all or majority like great updates happening in your communities, and I feel like I'm really glad the conversation went that way, because I know a lot of times there can be a lot of negative updates about the violence happening across the state, and so it's really good to have this opportunity to really highlight the hard work that's happening across our state to address that and kind of counteract that and keep our community safer. So thank y'all for sharing, and thanks for all the work that you do. So I'm going to move us kind of swiftly into our next piece of the agenda. We have a presentation. We have a guest that we've invited to the meeting. Our office received kind of like a connection through a mutual partner to Miss Melody, who is working on a project to try to make training and education resources for our violence prevention workforce more accessible. And so we thought that it'd be a great opportunity to have her get in front of this group of folks that are kind of leading a lot of that work across our state to hear about the resource that she's working to put together and potentially inform the direction of how that resource will come out, and also identify potential opportunities for collaboration with Melody. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it to you, Melody.
Thank you so much, Sierra. Thank you so much, everybody, for your time and for allowing me to come and share this opportunity of Beacon Safety Hub Pro for you. I'm eager to jump in here because after listening to you guys and hearing some of the struggles that you guys are having, I just really feel like this resource might be able to help fill some of those gaps. So thank you so much, and let's go ahead and get started. Beacon Safety Hub Pro is a professional resource infrastructure for credible training organizations, programs, and evidence, and it's designed to help fill a gap in resource prevention. There's no doubt in listening to all of you guys here that North Carolina has strong resources that already exist. The challenge is finding them and being able to navigate them efficiently. So, you know, nowadays professionals have to already know what exists and where to look for it in order to apply it. And that can create fragmented access, uneven visibility, and lost capacity to both local and regional resources, making them a little bit more difficult to discover outside of those established professional networks. So Beacon Safety Hub Pro does not create resources, it creates clarity around those resources. Next slide, please. Beacon Safety Hub Pro is considered to be one professional entry point, and it's really designed around those that it serves, making credible violence prevention knowledge easier to find, navigate, and use by professionals, practitioners, agencies, community organizations, and cross-sector partners. Beacon Safety Hub Pro operates with 4 repositories: Learn, Directory, Programs, and Evidence. Learn is where professional development will be curated and organized, and Directory is for organizations and networks, while Programs and Evidence help to find models, research, and guidance in the local and state regions. Professionals can search by topic, county, organization, competency, and professional need, while also discovering credible resources that connect you to the original provider or source. Next slide, please. What professionals can find in Beacon Safety Hub Pro are structured records that are designed to help professionals both compare, verify, and act. You can search by the structured fields for county, region, topic or category, status, evidence level, target population, outcomes, and this light is going to kill me in here. Target populations, outcomes, provider source, and last verification. So every resource within this app has been verified by a human, and that is really important in helping professionals navigate credible resources and being able to apply that. Users can move from discovery to the original resource, provider, program, dashboard, training, or implementation resource using these filters and different repositories. Next slide, please. Beacon Safety Hub Pro uses both the violence prevention frameworks as discovery layers where appropriate. So we just got done talking about like those core competencies. There's also the Safe States Alliance for Violence Prevention in the Workforce. And how Beacon uses these VP frameworks is by mapping, finding, and building the resources that go into the database. Mapping allows us to use the VP frameworks to verify learning opportunities and then tag them to the workforce needs that they support, so that the frameworks really become a set of usable metadata instead of a static list. Professionals can also discover relevant trainings and resources through competency-aligned search and filtering options. And the competency mapping helps us to organize the professional development pathways while preserving those VP standards as the authoritative SourceForce framework. Beacon Safety Hub does not certify competency or replace current violence prevention standards. It operates more as a resource hub. Next slide, please. Beacon Safety Hub Pro is designed county by county and is really designed for statewide access. Our goal is to unite all 100 counties in North Carolina, and currently we have collected information on 55 of those 100 counties. That has to go through a process of research, verifying, classifying, quality assurance, and then public publishing. The audiences in which Beacon Safety Hub Pro serves would be the professional access point. That can be mobile access, direct outreach, professional networks, partner referrals, and presentations, to whereas the public access will be through Beacon Safety Hub, which is a much more broader public-facing prevention mission, while Pro remains the professional workforce layer. It's important to also note that research records that we have, so of the 55 out of the 100, they're treated as candidates and they're not publicly published until the resource has been fully vetted. This is going to be really important for professionals working in the violence prevention industries, because we want to be able to provide credible resources and we want to be able to make the state of North Carolina's resources more publicly available. Next slide, please. So that brings us to kind of why we're here. The ask for DPS is to help us to validate, contribute, and advise on what we have so far. Beacon Safety Hub Pro really reflects the needs, resources, and realities of violence prevention professionals across North Carolina. So it's really great to have you guys be able to participate in bringing this app to fruition so that we can benefit that population directly by professionals in the industry who are already working it. I do have a QR code on the screen here if you guys wanted to take a picture of it for later or screenshot it. I would really appreciate your feedback. We can individually discuss that, or you can fill out the form and just kind of send me your thoughts after the presentation. Next slide, please. That's really Beacon Safety Hub Pro in a nutshell. North Carolina is known for being, first in flight and first in freedom. And now I think that it's time that North Carolina step up and be first in connected prevention. The goal is 100 counties, one connected prevention network, connecting what already works so that prevention knowledge is easier to find, learn from, and build upon. Thank you guys so much for your time, and I'll just open this up for some questions.
Thank you, Melody. Does anybody have questions for Melody and about the Beacon Safety Hub? I see there is a question in the chat about getting access to the slides, and as Melody, as long as that's okay with you, we're happy to share them with the advisory board members.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Ebony, I think I saw your hand.
Yes, hi. I was just wondering, I went to the Beacon Hub website just to see kind of what this might look like, and I'm wondering if there's maybe another state where we're able to view to see kind of what this might look like in real time.
Do you mean the actual app itself, the Beacon Safety Hub Pro?
Yes.
Okay, so that is still in development. The app itself is actually finished. What we're doing right now is researching all 100 counties in North Carolina, vetting those resources, and then being able to put them into the database. If we scheduled a time to meet, I could connect you with basically my app creator that would allow you to have access to the app in live form so that you could actually go through it and test it out. But that would have to be like on a more individual basis so that we can kind of connect and I can guide you through that process because it's not a publicly available app yet.
Does anyone have any other questions for Melody? Letitia.
Yeah, and I may have missed it. I had to step out for just a second, but can you give me an example of the types of training and prevention that your app would include?
Yeah. So what this is designed to do is to capture all available state and national training when it comes to violence prevention, and it allows the professional or the individual researching them to find what's local to them. So for instance, NCMEC offers training, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. We have Polaris Project and a number of other certifications for human trafficking. Depending on the topic and category that you are looking to search for would be what trainings populate available to you within your local area. There's also like the nationwide programs and certifications that are typically available. Those would be listed as well for both local and national. So it really kind of depends on what topics and categories you're searching to get certified in, and then the programs, evidence, and trainings and certifications for that topic and category would then populate for you.
Okay, can I follow up? I know you said that you all had researched 56 counties, I believe you said?
55.
55. Out of those 55, can you tell me just maybe one local, just maybe highlight one of those counties? I'm just trying to get an understanding of what the service would entail.
Yeah. So I'm going to go through the app here really quick, and I'm going to click on trainings. And right now we have NC Center for Safer Schools, Threat Assessment, and School Safety Planning. And there's no particular topic selected here. It's just simply trainings. And then we've got Preventing and Responding to Elder Abuse for NC Division of Aging and Adult Services. There's also Prevention Policy and Advocacy Institute for NC Children. Prevention Leadership Academy for UNC Gillings School of Global. There's NetSmart's online safety education through NCMEC. So, and then there's DHS Blue Campaign, Human Trafficking Awareness Training. So there's a number of different training opportunities and certifications that are already in existence for violence prevention under a number of different topics and categories in violence. And those would be the ones that pull up after being verified in the app.
Okay, thank you. Understood.
Yes, ma'am.
And those are great questions. And I just did want to say that one reason why we thought it would be relevant to bring Melody to the meeting is because, as she said, they are working through trying to identify resources to include in the app. And I felt like, well, our team felt like it would definitely be important to make sure that the resources that you all have out of your organizations, and also the resources within your communities that you're aware of, to make sure that those things get included in an app like this. And so I hope that from this presentation, there can be opportunity for collaboration between Melody and her team and you all across the board of this advisory board. And also, as you heard, the intention behind this app is really to be a resource for people like you all doing this work in local communities. And so if there are things that come to mind or feedback that you have for Melody about what would and wouldn't be useful about this app, I think that would be great to share as well, while the app is still in a development phase and there's opportunity to, kind of tailor it and incorporate it to best meet the needs of the workforce.
Yes, thank you, Sierra. And one of the things that I heard earlier, I believe it was Nicole that had mentioned in Edenton, that, she had some issues locating certain resources, and then somebody else chimed in and said, hey, we have that resource kind of over here. That's what Beacon App Safety Hub is designed to do, is create more clarity around those resources so that people like Nicole and Edenton who are trying to search for a specific thing can actually find that resource. If it's not available to her in her local area, then she would be able to find it on a national basis. Which I think is just really important and can really enhance the work of all violence professionals. It also allows us to give us credible information to the people that we're working with, because I think the last thing we all want to do is be a resource for somebody in violence prevention who's dealing with a hardship, and then we give them a 1-800 number and a website that is now disconnected, the number's no longer working, the funding program isn't available anymore, and there's so many things that we can run into in this workforce that I think that this app can really help solve.
If I may, Director Scott, quick question, Melody, thank you for the time that you spent. For full transparency, I've had a few different providers approach me about the similar resource coordination. And the gap that always comes to mind is the subscription part. There's always a cost to it. And so you may have mentioned this before, and I had to step out as well. So is there a subscription that or payment process and part of that working with you all?
No. One of the goals for the OR initiative is that we want to offer this app for free. Violence prevention is something that affects everybody in the nation, and I think that this information should be freely available to everyone. So once all of this, gets put together and thrown up, there will not be an associated cost with the app. It will be on a donation base. There will be 3 options for donations. If you can't do any of those, then you can have the app for free.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, any other, oh, two people I think have their hands raised. Oh no, there were hands raised. And so I think, oh,
Really quickly, I was just wondering how often the information is verified. Is this an annual basis where the agency is verifying the other local agency information? I think you may have mentioned that things change quite often, so I wasn't sure how often you guys are going back and checking.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite things about this application is that I really want to vet things annually. Every year, we're going to go through every single resource in all 100 counties, and we're going to ensure that all resources are credible, that programs are still operating, phone numbers are still working, URLs are not showing any error codes or anything like that, and that everything is linked appropriately.
and Letitia, do you have your hand raised or is that an old notification?
It's probably old.
Okay, thank you. Well, if anybody else has questions, feel free to just unmute because the raise hand feature is failing me right now. So one last call for questions or thoughts to share with Melody.
And I did throw my email in the chat. If you guys want to take my email down, you can also, like I said, scan that code and we could connect. I would love to connect with every single one of you in this meeting to ensure that all of your resources and available programs do get inputted into the app. Like I said, there's not a cost to do this. So it's really just exchanging information and ensuring everything is credible before inputting it into the database.
Well, thank you so much, Melody, for your time and for coming to share this with our advisory board. And I hope there can be some follow-up and collaboration after this. And just let us know if there's any way our office can kind of support those next steps.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Right. Thank you. All right. So moving forward in our agenda, and we're going to try to move a little bit more swiftly than we plan to through some of our next things because we're getting close on time. First, we wanted to go ahead and give that overview about the data work groups. So I'm going to pass it to Callie to share more information about this with you all.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, we just wanted to dedicate a little bit of time to sharing some background about the data work group that our office facilitates and go into a little bit more depth about the current activities that we have going on and also how to get involved if you're interested. First, I just wanted to give some background about the purpose of the work group and also the structure of the group. The data work group was initially established kind of as a result of two pathways. One being outlined within our office strategic plan was an objective to provide guidance and technical assistance on best practices for data sharing. And we had heard separately and expressed interest from people across the field about having some sort of shared space as a way to work towards accomplishing this objective, which is really where the idea for the data work group came to fruition. So the work group has been meeting since April of 2025, so for a little over a year now. And since then, the data work group really has become a bi-monthly meeting space for violence prevention professionals who are working with data, no matter their expertise level or background in data or with data. And this space has really served to provide the group with the opportunity to be thought partners together, share data-related successes and challenges, collaborate to address challenges that members are bringing to the group, and also to provide feedback on data products, whether that's from our office or other organizations in the group. And I just wanted to quickly highlight a couple of the data work group goals just to kind of show what ultimately informs and drives the activities of our work group. And these goals were directly identified by work group members through surveys and feedback that we've gathered from them. The first goal that work group members have is really to connect with each other. So, having the opportunity to foster partnerships, network, and collaborate with each other. And then another goal that members have is to be able to learn and share with each other. So, whether that's receiving support with data-related challenges, sharing resources and knowledge, and also learning how data translates across different communities and contexts. And then more broadly, people also want to be able to leverage the work group to strengthen violence prevention efforts, whether that's to better represent community voices in the data work group and our related efforts, better understand the landscape of violence prevention in North Carolina, and to also be able to take back tools and information learned or gained from the work group and implement it into their own work. And then I also just wanted to highlight a couple of projects that have been advanced over this last year through the group. When this group was first developed earlier last year, members had noted a couple of needs and goals around identifying ways to improve data literacy and also to enhance collaboration. And from here, the group decided that potential projects to pursue to address some of these goals could be a Data 101 training and also an evaluation toolkit. And so since then, the group in our office has really been working towards advancing these two projects. For the Data 101 training, we conducted various rounds of feedback with the work group just to gather information about current challenges they were experiencing, what they wanted the training to look like, and who it could be geared towards, etc. And with this feedback, we have developed a content outline of the curriculum that could be incorporated into the training. And we've also heard from some of our partners that they would be interested in collaborating to develop and facilitate the training. So we've kind of been in the midst of talking with them about how we can best bring this to life over the next few months and next year. As for the evaluation toolkit, last fall, we kind of began figuring out the scope of what this toolkit could consist of. And while we were doing that, we found out from some of our current work group members working at the North Carolina Coalition Against Domestic Violence, that they were already kind of beginning to initiate plans to develop an evaluation toolkit themselves. So rather than duplicate efforts, we have been collaborating with them using feedback from the work group to pull together an evaluation toolkit. And this toolkit is specifically geared towards community-based violence prevention practitioners who have little to no evaluation experience. The goal is for the toolkit to be released by the end of this year. So we're finishing pulling together the content for the toolkit, and we're also beginning the process of figuring out opportunities that our office can, opportunities for us to launch and promote the toolkit to ensure utilization. So CR kind of touched on this a little bit, but since the group has been operating for over a year now, we decided to conduct an assessment of the data work group this summer or last month. With this, we really wanted to capture feedback on people's experiences in the work group, and then also to identify opportunities to strengthen the work group and inform future meetings and activities. So our team took back the feedback that we gathered from this assessment and synthesized it into a couple potential focus areas to focus the work group meetings and activities on over the next year. And some of these focus areas included developing strategies to promote utilization of the evaluation toolkit once it's released, advancing a data reporting and sharing project, which was also an idea that came from our regional meetings this summer, which Desiree will touch on, and then bringing in subject matter experts to lead presentations and discussions about priority topic areas. And then finally, building capacity and expertise through focused activities and discussions about topics that members have identified as a need. So just some next steps. As for the next steps for the direction of the work group, we're currently finishing translating the findings from the assessment into kind of a clear and specific work group plan to focus activities over the next year. And then within the next few months, some of the activities that we're planning for the work group include supporting the launch of the evaluation toolkit, defining the scope of what a data reporting and sharing project would look like, and then also addressing priority needs through focused discussions and subject matter expert presentations. So if any of you are interested or feel like you have the expertise or capacity to contribute to this space and you want to get involved, please feel free to scan the QR code that is on the slide, and Neil will drop a link to the interest form as well in the chat. Please do fill out the interest form if you are interested. This just helps us keep track of who's in this space so we can continue to make sure that meetings are productive and so that we can make sure we're conducting more intentional follow-ups with you all. Our meetings are typically bi-monthly and they're held on the last Wednesday of the month from 2 to 3 p.m. Our next meeting is Wednesday, September 23rd, which is not the last Wednesday of the month. We moved it up a week, but the meeting will be also from 2 to 3 p.m. So again, feel free to scan the QR code or email me if you have any questions as well about the work group. Are there any questions about the work group right now? Yeah, thanks, Ciara, for letting everyone know. Are there any questions about the work group, what meetings look like, or the projects also that we've been pursuing? And feel free to follow up over email with me again if you do have any that come up. Okay. So hearing no questions, and for the interest of time, I'm going to move forward and pass it off to Desiree to give a recap about our regional meetings that we had this summer.
Yeah, thanks, Callie. I'm also gonna kind of do a bit of a speed round in going through these. So, if you go to the next slide, Callie. This year's theme focused on the operationalizing partnerships, building on last year's theme where we explored the topic of ecosystems. And so last year we laid the groundwork by helping attendees understand what ecosystems are and why they're necessary for advancing this work. So this year we aim to provide practical strategies and tools and frameworks for actually building those partnerships and bringing those ecosystems to life. So we had 3 regional meetings, one in the Middle, West, and East, and they were over the course of May, June, and July. I did want to first thank our planning committee or those who attended or served on the planning committees for your thoughtful suggestions and feedback. Those were greatly appreciated and incredibly helpful in shaping the agendas and ensuring that the content was or met the needs of our communities. But also thank you to our partners because definitely wouldn't have had such high quality events without you all. There are so many folks who were complimenting the food and saying, I think a few people, I don't remember which meeting, some were saying that it was like the best food that they ever had. So thank you so much to all of you. I think most of you are on this call. So yeah, Greensboro Community Safety, Office of Community Safety in the City of Fayetteville, serve the City of Charlotte and Durham County and Mecklenburg. Thank you so much for bringing such high quality to our events and making them meaningful and special for folks. So I'll just quickly go over what was included in most of the meetings. So most of the meetings, again, the theme was operationalizing partnerships, but there were some kind of tweaks depending on the needs that the planning committees expressed. So based on those needs, we tweaked a few of the agendas, but generally most of the content was the same. So participants first sat through like a lecture or a presentation on what strategic partnership actually looks like. And then they went through some breakout sessions where they used a couple tools, one called the Give Get Grid and the other called the Collaboration Multiplier, to understand how they could contribute to and benefit from a partnership, also how to identify shared priorities and explore opportunities to meet a shared goal. And so, yeah, we presented strategies to help them overcome any, barriers that they may experience and figure out and understand thoroughly the life cycle of developing a strategic partnership. We also had Justin Reed lead a session, a lecture and a breakout session talking about strategic communication and how that can help amplify and advance partnership to help us again move towards a shared goal. In the middle region, we had Durham, Forsyth, Guilford, Orange, Alamance, and Rowan County represented, which was awesome. And then for the West region, very similar agenda. We had added a couple elements of talking about ecosystems and asset mapping. That was something that the planning committee expressed what seemed to be a need for their communities. And so we kind of revisited some elements of ecosystems that we talked about last year, and then coupled that with partnership building, and also kind of trickled in the asset mapping part as well. And they also did the similar, get grid and collaboration multiplier there. And then Mecklenburg, Gaston, Buncombe, Iredell, and Cleveland County were represented, which was really awesome because last year we primarily only had Mecklenburg and Buncombe County last year. So, 3 extra counties, which was really awesome. We did some intentional outreach, and so it's really great to have those additional folks represented there. And then last is the East region, which had a pretty similar agenda as the middle. I think actually the exact same agenda as the middle. And so, yeah, we had Pitt, Cumberland, Robeson County, Wake, New Hanover, Wayne, Halifax, and Beaufort County represented there. So, yeah, that was really great. So moving on to some key takeaways. So of course we did an evaluation before and after the meetings just to kind of get an understanding of where folks were, their base, like the base of their knowledge, and then understand if and what they learned after attending the meeting. Generally, folks said that they enjoyed the presentations and left with a greater understanding of what partnership building is and how to apply it and apply the strategies that they learned. We talked about the breakout activities and found that those were practical opportunities to apply what they learned and what we talked about during the presentations. It also was a really great networking opportunity for folks, which is always, one of the key things that we try to intentionally integrate within our events and ensure that folks have the opportunity to connect with one another, learn from one another, and yeah, hopefully foster collaboration and connection. A couple quotes that we have, folks said that it was a great workshop and they gained a lot of information. The breakout activities were a highlight of the day for some folks and helped them identify, create, plan, and implement the strategies that they learned. Other folks also found the templates that we shared really helpful for future conversations with partners. And so one of the other takeaways I think is,
I'm sorry.
okay, love the bubbles. So we are, one of the key things is that we translated some of the multipliers that we had, and we made them into like some tangible kind of next steps. And we're working with folks to, some of those folks to kind of advance those projects and figure out how our office can either, support or help work through those themes. So yeah, and also we'll be planning to kind of integrate some of those things that came out of those multipliers and figuring out ways to integrate those into the conference breakout sessions. So that way everything kind of is linked together. And so we're using that information that we had then to make sure that we're continuing those discussions during the conference. Okay. All right, passing it back to Ciara.
Thank you. We breezed through that, and part of what we originally intended is we wanted to give an opportunity to hear from you all who attended and participated in the regional meetings to also share some feedback and thoughts, and just to kind of, reflect on the meetings that happened, but also maybe to inform our future meetings, including during the conference, we'll be doing regional breakouts as we have the past 2 years. And so we don't really have a lot of time to open it up for discussion, but if you have thoughts that come to mind immediately, maybe if you could drop that in the chat, that'd be helpful. And then also feel free to follow up with us afterwards if there are things you'd like to share. But all right. So in our last 10 minutes, I'm going to try to breeze through what was supposed to be like 40 minutes of discussion. So essentially, over the next few months, from now to the end of the year, we've got lots of different things that we're going to be working on, but 3 projects that are like really high priority for us that we want to engage you all in a more collaborative way. And so they're listed on the screen are North Carolina Community Violence Lexicon, our Rural Violence Reduction Strategies project, and then our Core Competencies Resource Hub. And so essentially, we're wanting to split you all into 3 different work groups that will kind of work with us more hands-on to move forward these projects. And we want to put you all in work groups based on your interests, but then also based on the need. And so some of you may have a particular expertise or perspective that will like benefit one of these projects more than another. So we may prioritize you in some way for some of these groups, but we're planning to make this pretty low commitment for you all, similar to our planning committees that we have for like our regional meetings in our conference that many of you have participated in, where you really will just need to show up and kind of engage in that meeting time, but there won't really be much for you all to do outside of the meetings, and also no responsibility as far as like leading the meetings. Our team will continue to do all of that. So I'm going to very quickly try to just give an overview of each of the projects because before we end, we want to have you all go ahead and submit your interest to us of which group you'd like to be in. So we can skip past this slide. So the first project, our Core Competencies Resource Hub, like we talked about earlier, the core competencies were released in July. And I'm going to skip all the background on this, because also hopefully we're all familiar since you all did participate a lot in creating the core competencies. And so as you have saw, we came out with 11 themes for the competencies and a total of 32 competencies across those themes. And so the next step for us is wanting to, like I mentioned earlier, make sure people are actually able to utilize that list to create a professional development plan and intentionally work to either gain, enhance, maintain competency in those areas, so that we do across the board just have a stronger violence prevention ecosystem across the state working in this space in our different communities. And so to do that, we want to be able to provide folks guidance on resources, trainings, literature, tools, etc., that they can utilize to build their skill sets related to the different competencies. And so we'd like to create a complementary resource to go along with the core competencies that will point people to specific training or learning opportunities. And so we've preliminarily been working on that. One of our interns during the summer, Emma, did a lot of kind of background research to start building out a skeleton for what this resource list could look like. But we want to work more closely with you all to finish building that out and create that list to put alongside the core competencies of things relevant, specific to what we have suggested that our workforce should be working towards. And so that's the first project. Next project is our, I think, rural violence, community violence lexicon. So for those of you not familiar with what we mean by lexicon, it's really just a vocabulary list. It's just a nice fancy word for a shared list of terminology around a particular subject. And so this kind of came out based on express like need across some of the different groups that we're engaging with, of just having a place to better understand and develop shared language amongst our ecosystem across the state when we're talking about this violence prevention and intervention work that's being done. And so that's what we're trying to do, is just create that list to kind of give a foundation for that, so folks can hopefully start better speaking the same language, and hopefully that will enhance the collaboration happening in our local communities. And so one of our interns, Rose, worked throughout the summer to create a skeleton for this as well, and basically to put together a draft lexicon. And now the next steps that we'd like to do is to really dig into that with you all, and see what resonates, what we might want to change, what we might want to add, and really make sure that we polish it up before we do publish it and start to try to distribute this across our ecosystem as a resource. And so we'd like to have one work group that's digging in a bit more on this project. And then the last project is around the rural violence strategies. As you all may recall, we've been having conversations our past couple of meetings about rural violence and how to better support prevention and intervention work to move forward in those areas. And we had a pretty in-depth conversation at our February meeting. We got some feedback from you all that we synthesized. We've also been having conversations with other partners and stakeholders, reviewing literature, data, and trying to think about what we could tangibly do as next steps there. And so there are a couple things that came out from all of that that we'd like to move forward on. And we'd like to have a work group to help us dig into that and move forward some of those next steps. So those are the 3 work groups. So core competencies, resource hub, community violence lexicon, and the rural resource strategies. So I know I just breezed through that. And we're gonna skip questions to go to the QR code because we'd like you all in this time to go ahead and just use the QR code to just submit to us and tell us the top 2. And also there's a link in the chat, but we'd like you to tell us the top 2 groups that you have an interest in being a part of. And as you're filling that out, I'll pause and also give an opportunity if anybody does have questions to feel free to unmute and ask. Okay, hearing no questions, I'll keep talking. So we appreciate you all taking the time right now to complete it, and we just want to do this now so that this will lessen the amount of follow-up emails that we have to send you all about this, and we can also move forward pretty quickly in determining the groups and moving forward on starting to schedule meetings and working with you all on these projects. And we, like I said, are trying to make this as low kind of commitment for you all. We plan to spend a good amount of time of our already scheduled October meeting in these work groups and working on these projects with you all, but then we may want to schedule 1 or 2 meetings outside of that, but no more than 1 meeting a month. Okay. One last call for any questions about this. I see it looks like folks are getting their submissions in, which we appreciate. But any questions coming up for folks to inform your decisions on your responses to the form? Okay. Well, hearing none and seeing lots of responses coming in, We'll go ahead and move towards wrapping up with just 1 minute to spare. So just reminders about some of the things that we've shared today. Conference registration is open, and we'd love for you all to share that with your networks, and also for you to register. We'll make sure that we get that email resent about specific registration instructions for you all as advisory board members. And then please share the conference website with anybody else that's interested in attending. Our next data work group meeting is going to be on September 23rd. And if you are not already engaged in that group and want to be, you can email Callie to get connected with that and more information about how to join. And then keep an eye out from us with emails about next steps for the work groups that you're going to be placed in. And thank you in advance for your partnership and collaboration on these projects. So looking forward to working with you all more closely on those projects throughout the end of the year. Looking forward to reconvening again in October for our last full advisory board meeting for the year. And then also looking forward to seeing you all at the conference in November. So thank you so much for coming today, and please let us know if you have any questions. Our team will hang back for a couple minutes, but otherwise, hope you have a good rest of your day.
Great.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Bye.